Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 631 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Alex Smith. And if you want to catch our story about being a chiropractic kid to a chiropractic doctor, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's episode 631 with Alex Smith. I've had his mom and dad on the show. He's a Chiro kid. Went through Palmer, played Palmer rugby. Really solid guy, really solid family. Just over the moon excited. I've seen this kid grow up, and now he's a father of 3 and supporting the chiropractic profession with the science, philosophy, and art. We're going to talk about protecting X-ray and why it's important, the status of the profession, philosophically based, and our mutual love for TIC, and that is the chiropractic of this profession. Before we get into Alex's story, I'm going to share with you our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? I'll be fast about it. We protect freedom of speech. We believe in freedom of speech. We've never censored anyone. We've never censored anybody. We know what it's like to be shadow banned, traffic throttled, all the things, and we'd never do that to anybody on our platform. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things. And if you're looking for answers to you and your family's care and future in chiropractic, reach out to a neighborhood chiropractor and get all your answers from them when it comes to your family. As we get a bit more philosophical, we do protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go check out the show notes. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did in your entire life, I guarantee you. Because that's the mantelpiece for this profession, why chiropractors do what they do. We protect and believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I think, whenever people question why we do this, it's because they're taking some of these things out of the chiropractic colleges, and we have to supplement that. And it sounds kind of funny. People supplement for their health with vitamins and minerals. Well, we supplement the truth and philosophy with this show on chiropractic campuses that are removing the philosophy and the lexicon of the profession. And last but not least, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that, this is episode 631 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So I mentioned a little bit about you. Growing up as a Chiro kid, you said you got adjusted within like the first hour of your life.
Yep.
And here you are today, man. Got a chiropractic family, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I always tell people I always felt like I was destined to be a chiropractor, and it's cool to see that kind of play out as it has. And not everybody's path is linear. Healing isn't linear. And so it's really cool to see how God moves and does what he does to form and shape us into who we are. And today I stand here as a chiropractor, a doctor of the profession, with 3 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife.
And growing up in a chiropractic household, what was that like for you as a young guy?
It was interesting. Interesting is probably the best way that I could say it. I tell our practice members all the time, is like, I was fortunate to have two chiropractic parents. So when kids were sick or didn't feel good, they reached to the medicine cabinet. When I was sick, I didn't feel good. I reached for my parents and said, "Mom, Dad, can I get adjusted?" And that led into, obviously, ate healthy foods, active as a kid, and did all the right stuff so that all my stressors on life were definitely on the lower end. But my nervous system was functioning to its best that it could be because I was regularly adjusted. And then when April rolls around, right around this time, a couple weeks before, when kids are all sick, going through allergy season, flu season, all that fun stuff, they're missing days of school, and then it'd be like in April, and my parents are like, "You haven't missed any school lately." And I'm like, "No, I haven't. You want to take a wellness day?" I was like, "What's a wellness day?" "Well, it's, all your friends took sick days, but you haven't taken any sick days because you haven't been sick. So we're going to give you a wellness day. You want to go bowling?" Absolutely. I'll go bowling any day of the week. So yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, I can remember my dad coming to school, showing x-rays and showing what the spine looks like and what he takes care of. I remember telling kids, like, "I don't put that poison in my body. I've never been vaccinated, this, that, and the other." And they're like, "Yes, you have. Everybody's been vaccinated." I'm like, "No, not me." So yeah, interesting is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, and I think there's a huge testimony to, growing up with a chiropractic lifestyle.
Mhm.
And I think it's something that a lot of people, if they knew what I say this quite often, but if they knew what we knew, they would do what we do.
Right.
And if they knew that they could create healthy families and healthy children and not pump them full of neurotoxins and, things that are, I guess, scientifically unsound,
Yeah.
um, we would have probably a lot better culture of children. We'd have a whole lot better culture of adults and a whole lot less consumers of the pharmaceutical world. But I think it's really cool that, I met you, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago.
Mhm.
And here you are today as a chiropractor, and you're philosophically sound. It's amazing. And, that's something that I really want to talk to you about is the attitude about the profession and why it's important to have x-rays,
Mhm.
and what does that mean? I mean, I know in Canada they're even like, challenged with even shooting x-rays like, on their patients unless it's like medical necessity. So
Right.
let's talk about the x-rays and why it's important for chiropractors to hold on to the ability to do that.
Yeah. The big thing for me with X-rays is you look at any other profession of healthcare, and that you don't really have them second guessing some of their diagnostics that they do. And so, why is it put upon chiropractors to second guess our diagnostics? Why is it put upon chiropractors to second guess the validity of the science and actually testing to make sure that you are as specific as you can be? Because to see is to know, not to see is to guess. And there's no reason why you should be guessing with anybody's nervous system and spine when they're in your office, when they're laying on your table, when you're taking care of them. It drives me absolutely up a wall to think that every person that walks in your door is going to know everything about their spine, is going to know where the position of it is, and for you to know where the position of it is if you don't see it. And so I don't, to have insurance companies tell us that we have to, only bill for medical necessity, and everything has to be based upon symptomatology and not just making sure that we're doing right by our practice members or our patients by doing the right diagnostics before we even touch them, um, blows my mind.
Well, I mean, I've always been told we don't want to guess with your health.
Hmm.
And the best way to rule out like ligament instability,
Yep.
the best way to rule out any type of contraindication to adjust, like that's really what it's for. And then you can say, well, look at the degeneration or the adaptation of your disc, look at the malposition of the curve. And really it's a way for people to understand like what their health looks like on the inside. And whether somebody deems it medical necessity or not, it's a way to have a clearer picture on where to adjust and what not to adjust. And if there's any, congenital defect. I mean, there's times where people have like, they're born with fusions.
Yeah.
And, they have like an extra lumbar vertebrae. Like, we don't want to guess, right?
No. We can't guess. We use the saying all the time, and I've already said it. We don't guess, we test. In our office, we don't even adjust on the first day unless it's an extreme case. We do our proper diagnostics. We take that, we review everything. And the amount of times that I've seen somebody come in, have scoliosis, have no idea that they had scoliosis, and if we adjust that scoliotic curve wrong, all we're going to do is just make it worse. And that's going to be worse off for the patient. Don't get me wrong. These are skilled, right? And over time, they become more and more skilled, but we don't have x-ray vision. So we can't see the physical structure that's inside that is surrounding and housing that nervous system. And you can't guess with that.
Yeah. And, I think that also it helps people commit to care and understanding like, hey, I am kind of messed up. Let's fix that.
Right.
And people might not know this, but if you're really curious, chiropractic is a science, philosophy, and art. And when we think about the science approach to it, well, x-rays, exams, health history, there is a scientific approach to understanding the person in front of you. And then the art is the adjusting. And then the philosophy is everything that goes into why a chiropractor does what they do. Right. So it is the triune of health, science, philosophy, and art. And people come in with three things: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. That's what causes subluxation, physical, chemical, and emotional stress. So if we come in, we don't assess them properly. And that's the probably the biggest reason why most people don't understand why chiropractors do what they do. Because every chiropractor does it different. And there's no standardization of like, hey, somebody comes on visit 1, we x-ray. Visit 2, we tell them what we found. We tell them how we help them. We tell them what that looks like to go forward with the plan. And if every chiropractor just adopted that, we'd have a standardization of why people wouldn't ever even consider diminishing the fact that x-ray is necessary.
No, 100%. There's a lot of people who are like, my last chiropractor just, came in, asked me a couple questions, did a couple, orthopedics, or, they don't call it orthopedics, but, did a couple tests and then I got adjusted and I was out the door, within like 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not us. Here's what we do. Here's why we do it. Because your brain and your nervous system is too important to go willy-nilly about it. So go through our full process. It'd be nice if we could, tell people, hey, we're going to do this, and everybody would just be compliant. But that's not, unfortunately, that's not how it goes.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. So, I know we were talking off camera a little bit, and one of the things that you said you enjoyed doing is community outreach. You really like to go out there and talk to people and tell the chiropractic story and connect with people doing marketing. How did you decide that was like fun for you to do? Like, how many events did you have to go through before you're like, I kind of like this?
So I will actually say I'm always enjoyed entertainment. I've been told I'm a social peacock, so per se. So just being able to like get out and talk to people, interact with people, get to understand people, which is part of the reason why I'm a part of this profession, because you get to serve people and get to understand their stories and who they are and what they do. Um, when I applied for my preceptorship, it was brought to my attention. I was like, hey, this is something that you could do, to help kind of supplement income while you're going through preceptorship. You get signups, this, that, and the other. And after doing that several times, you get the nervous butterflies of like trying to talk to somebody. I was like, hey, this is a subluxation. This is what it is. And you just start talking to them like, hey, this really cool thing that we do has seen great results to people actually living healthier lives. And you just start talking from a passionate standpoint. And it's very easy for me to do that because I've got to live it, I've got to see it, and now I get to actually do it. And probably within the first month and a half of working in the office that I'm working at now, which is where I did my preceptorship, where I was like, this is fun. Like it's fun to get to talk to people. It's fun to get to dispel whatever myths that they have with, oh, my back doesn't hurt, so I don't need a chiropractor now. It's like, wait a minute, hold up. And let me talk to you a little bit on why it's not pain that drives what we do in our office. I get to go do several health talks with that community outreach, and you talk to people and you start talking. It's like, hey, if you've got asthma, allergies, chronic cough, maybe you've got some indigestion, maybe you've got diarrhea, maybe you've got constipation, all these sort of symptoms that are lining up. What if it's not an organ issue, but what if there's a communication issue between your brain and your body back to your brain, where there's ineffectiveness there? What if that's what's going on? And what if you never thought to get that addressed because you never thought about your nervous system? It's the most neglected organ in the body, yet it's also the most important organ in the body. And people start, like, you can see the wheels turning, smoke starts coming out of the ears, and they're like, oh, that makes a little sense. And I'm like, it does make sense. It's really fun. There's a saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Sure, work's not easy, right? But doing hard things is good. And so when those two coincide, doing hard work, but then also doing what you love, they coincide. It makes work pretty enjoyable.
Just listening to like your grasp on the profession's really, really awesome. I've almost scheduled 10,000 new patients for chiropractors, and it's really impressive to me when I see somebody that's on fire for the profession and the principle, and they go out there and they serve their community and they help people. And I think when people talk about chiropractic is a service profession, and you have to go out there and connect with your community the old-fashioned way and tell people the chiropractic story. And a lot of times people think that business is just supposed to come to them.
Right.
And that's not true. I mean, obviously referrals happen as you establish a practice and business does come to you, but that's because you've created a service-based profession. And now people know, like, and trust you. And they're like, hey, go see Dr. Alex. He's the man. Right. And that's how it happens. But what advice would you give to like a young DC? Because I know you're just like fresh out of school. What advice would you give to a young DC as they finish up school and maybe they're thinking about going out there and doing a preceptor, or they're thinking about becoming an associate? What advice would you give to somebody that's finishing up?
I would say read the green books. That's always, that's always a good advice. But first, you want to look at find a doctor who's willing to pour into you. If you're going to associate, if you're going to do a preceptorship, find a place that's going to pour into you, but also challenge you. You don't want to find a place that's going to let you be complacent, because as a young DC, freshly graduated, you don't know what you don't know. There's so much experience that you haven't gotten into. There's so much knowledge that you can learn from somebody who's actually lived it, done it, and is willing to pour that back into you. So the best way you can learn is to listen and to see and to watch. The first part of my preceptorship, I didn't adjust for probably two months. I didn't touch a single practice member and adjust, even though it was a lot of my state. I only focused on the docs that were there, where I got real-time feedback, and then also the employees and the staff that were in the office, because one, that's their business, and I had to be humble enough to understand that they have practice members that are coming in paying for that, and if I can't deliver a top-notch adjustment every single time, then now their practice members are paying for subpar care, and that's not what they want, because their standards up here, and if I'm down here, I can't meet that, right? So to build to where I could actually have trusted time where they would allow me to adjust, I had to humble myself and understand, no, I'm not gonna be as good as I think I am coming out of school. All that to say, when you are looking for a place of work, make sure that where you are and what you want to do, make sure it's philosophically based. Make sure they understand that chiropractic is not just neck pain, low back pain, headaches. Make sure that they understand that the body is a self-healing organism. We just got to get ourselves out of its own way. Make sure that they use the verbiage subluxation. And lastly, make sure that they're passionate about what they do and they're not going through the motions. And I promise you, if you can just follow those steps and those things, that you will grow and you will become a better doctor, even if it's not easy.
Well, I'm really curious. How did you develop your art and your skills to get the confidence to adjust and to feel like you were going to be able to deliver the goods?
I'll have to say, shout out to my dad and my mom for teaching me at a younger than DC student age, and they never shied away from telling me, like, hey, look, let's come over here. I want you to see this, see how this works. Here, try this, and that was always nice. When I was in school, you just get your hands on people. Students, they're stressed out. They're going through hard curriculum, and then if they're working out, playing sports, there's a physical stressor, and then not a single student is eating the best food, so there's your chemical stressor. So they're nailing all three of the thoughts, traumas, and toxins, and to be able to feel different spines and how maybe this one feels, or maybe this subluxation feels, and just like get your time and repetitions in. If you go solely based off the curriculum of school, you will not be prepared, you will not be confident, and you can't trust that. It is super frustrating to go through school. You're in there for well over a year, almost a year and a half, before you get to perform your first adjustment. And to think about that really drives me up the wall. Why aren't we getting our hands on sooner, under guided care, under guided watch? Like, hey, this is what a setup should feel like. This is what it should feel like. This is what okay, now thrust. Okay, now perform an adjustment. Well, what we do is safe. It's very, very safe. You're more likely to get struck by lightning, in a plane accident, in a car wreck, than you are to have an injury or an ailment from a chiropractic adjustment. Let the students freaking do what they need to do. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. It's so bad.
I love that your passion is like pouring out, and that what you've experienced is the real deal of what's coming out of school. Is what I hear from a lot of docs that are hiring associates is, we have to teach these kids philosophy they're not getting in schools. That's why my introduction's the way that it is. So maybe kids that go to school listen to our show and they're like, what is a sacred trust? What is a subluxation? They're not talking about that in school. Or what is innate intelligence? And I think that that's a big pre-frame for me. But it's also interesting, some of the best chiropractors that I meet, they have to go to adjusting workshops, and they have to go on mission trips, and they have to like find mentors to like put them through like a boot camp.
Yeah.
So they actually go out there and train and learn how to move a bone. And I think it's pretty vital
Yeah.
when it comes to the confidence and becoming successful in this profession. And that takes me to like the next question set for you. I know you mentioned your mom and dad chiropractors, grew up in a chiropractic family. I didn't mention yet, but you played Palmer rugby. You played, you were part of that family too, the Palmer rugby family. So maybe you can mention to me, like, who are some of your mentors outside of the family, and who helped you become fundamentally sound with your philosophy and your art?
So when you ask that outside of like my mom and my dad,
Yeah. Yep.
so ultimately, obviously parents are very important, and you always talk about, you're going to become, who you surround yourself with. And my philosophy was strengthened by, unironically, the Palmer Rugby Alumni. So the people that got my dad to go to school continue to pour into it, and that's something that deeply, deeply is ingrained in my heart, and I will continue to pour into Palmer Rugby because I've seen the effects of that all the way down to me. So if you think about people who graduated in the 70s affecting a gentleman who graduated in 2024, if you pour in, it will continue to reap the benefits. So gentlemen like Dr. Fred Schofield, I've never seen a man more passionate than Dr. Fred Schofield. I love to hear him talk. I get chills every single time. Dr. Nick Psaltis, Dr. Beefy Castile, Dr. Scotty Castile. It's just Dr. Bobby Rendina. Those are like the ones that really stick out to me. And I look to them as I am growing up and becoming more of a doctor, more seasoned, to like, how did you do what you did for so long and still love every minute of it? So it's really good. When you start looking at the people that you went through school with, uh, it's always nice to have people going through the curriculum with you, going through rugby practices with you, going through and getting actually through the same journey as you. So that's always nice. Being a part of Palmer Rugby made going through the DC program that much sweeter.
Well, over time, I think things have changed a lot in the past 15 years since I've been involved with chiropractic. But over time, I've always been told that the best adjusters in the world came from Palmer,
Mm-hmm.
and the best adjusters that came from Palmer were rugby players.
Yeah.
And I was just giving a talk this past weekend in Michigan at the Michigan Association of Chiropractic, and I let them know how chiropractic spread worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
and like the profession of chiropractic spread worldwide because of Palmer Rugby.
Yep.
And the Palmer family started the rugby team to spread athletic excellence global.
Yeah.
And so many people inside of chiropractic profession do not know that. So
Right.
it's very enlightening when I tell people, like, the reason there's chiropractic in Australia, Palmer Rugby. The reason it's in Fiji, Palmer Rugby. The reason it's in Wales and England, Palmer Rugby. The reason it's in France, Palmer Rugby. The
Mm-hmm.
reason it's in the South Africa, Palmer Rugby.
Right.
And I tell people that the reason that this profession has exploded globally was because of the lineage that you're a part of, and that family of Palmer Rugby. And there's so many chiropractors that just don't know that.
Yeah, and it's truly a different thing to wear that patch and to say you're part of the brotherhood. If you think, who started the Palmer rugby team? It was David D. Palmer. It was one of the Palmers that started the rugby team, and then to see where it's gone, from the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, but the message still remains the same: to spread chiropractic through athletic excellence. And I know each and every single person that's a part of the team today can say that, yeah, we do what we do, and what we do is very, very different. There's not a single club at that school that is the same as Palmer Rugby. And I want all the boys that are a part of the team that I know now to continue to think about, how can you spread chiropractic through athletic excellence?
Well, it's a very, very cool thing. And, when I go and speak at places, I have a Palmer rugby pin that I wear on my blazer. And also I
Yeah.
have a Sherman College of Chiropractic pin that I wear on my blazer. So I think that, my career was started by some of the same guys you mentioned.
Hmm.
Freddie Schofield was the first guy to ever tell me what innate intelligence was. He was the first guy to ever tell me that the body needed nothing extra in it, simply need no interference.
Yeah.
And he told me that healing came from above down, inside out. And I'm like, who is this maniac? Like, what is he talking about?
Who's
But
this funny speaking man?
yeah, but now after, years down the road, I look back and I can't even thank him enough how
Mhm.
much he has poured into the young minds and hearts of chiropractic and helped guide this profession to where it is today. That's real leadership, and when I met your dad, like, that's real leadership. And when I was a part of that project that I was doing for Palmer Rugby,
Mhm.
I'm so proud to be able to do what I do because of the fundamentals that group poured into me. And that was a springboard for why I'm doing what I do today. And
Right.
I think it's really cool to see where you are today. Um, and philosophy, you mentioned green books earlier.
Yeah.
Why are the green books so important to the future of chiropractic?
So we mentioned that it's a three-legged stool for a reason. You take one leg out, the stool is going to fall and it won't stay sturdy. Now, the very important part of our philosophy isn't the what, it isn't the how, it is the why. We have to have an understanding of why we do what we do. And in the green books, it lays all of that out. It gives a deeper meaning to the career that you choose, why you become a chiropractor. The the deeper meaning of why subluxation is not good for the body, the deeper meaning of understanding why we have innate intelligence. I mean, you can dive into all these subjects, and I recommend most students to grab a green book. You can actually, there's a guy on Spotify. If you're not a reader, then pull it up on Spotify. There's a guy, he reads through all the green books, and you can listen to it as an audiobook. It's important to embed yourself with why you do what you do, because if you don't have a why, you don't have a purpose, then you're just going through the motions.
Well, the North Star Project for all of you listening to this is go to Spotify and dip yourself in some green book knowledge. And Dr. Alex, we're coming up on the edge of our time together today. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience?
Uh, no, so you didn't necessarily ask me this, but I always want to thank my wife. She's been my support system. We're high school sweethearts, kids at a young age, and there was a time where I did not think chiropractic was in my future. Obviously, God led us back into that direction, and if I didn't have the support of my loving wife, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And I've always got to pay homage to her because she truly is she's like my fifth leg, essentially. You have all these different legs. She's the one that holds me up, and I can't thank her enough.
Well, you're a good man, Dr. Alex, and I really appreciate you being on with me today for episode 631 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Sir.
And I close everyone out by telling people you're just one story away. Keep hustling. And I'll say the same to you is keep on doing a great job out there. You're an inspiration to me and so many others. And I know that it was a long time coming for you to become the chiropractor that you are today. And I
Yes,
look
sir.
forward to having you on another time down the line. So
Yeah.
keep on serving and keep on growing, brother.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Last time I was on here, I was a DC to B, and I am officially a DC. That's it. So it's pretty.
Well, congratulations, man. Enjoy your night with your family and hug your little ones and your wife and have a good night. Okay.
Will do. Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.